The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is noon on a Monday, the day after, inside the SWBC podcast studio here at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. And the first thing out of Mickey's mouth, Everson, will be this. The sun did come up today.
That's when you have nothing else to look forward to.
It's just not very bright, that's all.
It's a beautiful sunshiny day today at the Star or in Frisco.
Yeah.
It's like a ghost town out there, man.
It is.
Nobody's
Yeah.
And that's about the best Bill can say.
Yeah, no Victory Monday song.
No.
Thank God. Don't even strike it up, Chris. You better not do it. Yes. Thank you so much.
It's not even any consolation prizes.
No, nothing at all.
Producer Supreme Chris Beam with us as well, obviously. And, okay, we're here to pick up the pieces and get you updated on what is going on today here at the Star or what's going on in a doctor's office somewhere near here.
It's like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
He sure did.
So where we know where we should start.
Yeah. So it sounds like Dak Prescott will have surgery on his fractured hand, suffered right below the thumb line. Somebody said, yeah, but they said it was a clean break. I said, oh, good. Great. It didn't fracture into pieces,
those
right?
silver linings, boy, I tell
They're
you.
still going to have to go in there and probably put a screw or a plate to help facilitate the healing a little quicker. But, you know, as we know, when you fracture a bone, clean or not, it usually takes a bone roughly 6 weeks to heal. And you got to factor in that, you know, when they cut into you, there's a suture there, and that takes a couple weeks just from the start. So, you know, with some of the estimates coming out 6 to 8 weeks, I probably wouldn't argue with it. And that's the reason why the owner, when he talked about it after the game, said it was daunting. And it was very daunting to lose your quarterback in the midway through the fourth quarter in a game. But again, that's what happens when your quarterback's getting hit.
Yep.
When the quarterback has people all around him almost the entire game. You know, they registered 4 sacks. They had officially 8 hits. I would like to see how many times they were close to hitting him and disrupting his rhythm to try to throw a football into some very tight windows, by the way.
Very tight windows. Every time I looked up, the DB was right there on the wide receiver. So there was not much separation at all, even on the passes that he completed. I was kind of impressed with their defensive backs, but it's kind of what we talked about last week. You know, you have to be able to make that separation. You have to get that separation from these defensive backs. And I wanted the type of wide receivers that can get off the jam on the line of scrimmage. And they jammed us all night long. There was no man-to-man off coverage. All their man-to-man, they were right there in their faces. And that's what I was afraid of last week. That's what we talked about, and I knew we had to be ready for it. Can CeeDee Lamb get off the jam? You know, can he do that? Can Noah Brown, can he get off the jam? And that's what we did not see last night.
And you can add in 6 passes broken up, which means, as Everson illustrates what he's saying, that, you know, the DBs were close to where the ball was going. And that is what happens when you don't have any explosive plays. All of a sudden, those safeties that are sitting over the top, everything starts compacting, right? And you don't have many open lanes to throw the football.
Nope.
So what you have to do is be able to run the ball, but to be able to run the ball consistently, you can't be behind the chains. I counted their 6 possessions after the first drive of the game when they went down and kicked a field goal, that at least one time in each of those possessions, including a change of possessions on a punt, they had a penalty.
Yep.
And it's hard to run the ball when it's 2nd and 15. It's hard to run the ball when it's 3rd and 12.
Yeah, you can run it.
Yeah.
But you won't do anything.
Probably not
you won't
getting
get
anywhere,
right?
And then, compounding a problematic offensive group, you lose your starting guard 7 game, and he's the backup, by the way. You lose him 7 plays into the game.
Yep.
And now you're playing your backup center at guard, and God forbid if they had another injury at center, what were they going to do?
I would assume Smith moves to guard,
And then one of those
and
guys come
Waletzko or Ball would play tackle.
Yeah. Which we'll get to that also because that's another problem they're going to have. But yeah, and you're sitting there, and it's 12-3 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and you're sitting
And
there
that's
going,
by the grace of God.
yeah, and you're sitting there going,
That is by the grace of God
if you just,
and Michael Parsons.
If you just score a touchdown, it's 12-10, and all of a sudden they got to get a little nervous, right? And then they came in with the hammer and scored their. You know what? If I told you before the game, I'm going to hold Tom Brady to 4 field goals and only 1 touchdown on a unbelievably great catch in the end zone, right? And they scored 19 points. Would you take it? You would go, absolutely.
That's it.
Right? Hold him to 19. That was
I think like 200 yards passing.
212.
212.
Well, it was 19-3 with 3 minutes and 23 seconds left in the third quarter.
Right.
If the Cowboys were mounting any offensive challenge, they could have gotten to 33 points real easy.
Well, we'll see. They did.
I mean, if it was a shootout
it
was a shootout like last year's game,
but they were still
because it felt
trying.
like when it was 19-3, it felt like it was 91-3.
It did because there was no momentum in anything. We scored on the first drive of the game. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And there was nothing after that. Obviously, the 3 remained 3.
And, well, to Mickey's point, on the second drive of the game, the Cowboys take over their own 25. Zeke goes for 7 yards on first down. And what happened on 2nd and 3?
Penalty.
False start, Terrence Steele. Now you're backed up 2nd and 8. And Levante David almost picked off the pass on the 2nd and 8 play. So anyway, Cowboys punt. And then the third possession for the Cowboys, taking over with a minute left in the first quarter. Cowboys ran it for 1 yard to Pollard, and then a pass to Schultz set up 3rd and 4, and that's when CD had his drop.
Yeah.
And now punting.
And
Mickey can take you through the rest of the game.
And then the next time they get the ball, and they had some momentum because Parsons had his sacks, forced him to a 36-yard field goal, and sucked on it.
Yes, he did.
And so now you got the ball 1st and 10 at the 26. Dak connects with Lamb for 20 yards, and he gets a penalty for offensive interference.
And I didn't. When you go to the game and watch the game, you can't really watch the game.
Right.
Like you guys were probably able to watch the game from home. So I did not see the replay. Did it look like a PI?
Here's what it looked like to me. The guy was getting ready to chuck CeeDee Lamb, and he came up to protect himself and pushed the guy away. And it's like, flag goes up in the air.
There was a push off.
But his arms were extended.
Yeah. And
But it
Winfield was a defensive player.
I just think when the defensive guy is going to be that aggressive, let him hit you.
Right.
Should be illegal,
No, they're not going to call it, though.
but they're not going to call it.
And so then
then it's instead of 1st and 10, where were they at? They would have been 1st and 10 at the 46. They're 1st and 20 at the 16, and then they go 3 and out.
Well, they threw an interception.
Oh, that was
the
the
Winfield
interception. Yeah.
And then the defense is able to get another Parsons sack and limit them to a field goal, and still it's just a 9-3 game. So it's a very manageable game at this point.
Especially
and then what happened?
when you look at all
then-
the games yesterday,
Yeah.
and you look at the how the tide turned in
Yes.
almost every game yesterday. I'm sitting up there thinking this second half is going to be just as typical as all the other previous games. And here we go, guys. Buckle in.
Okay.
And then
I'm
after-
sitting there watching Sunday afternoon, and I won't dwell on this because Mickey's making a point. But to your point, Everson, I'm sitting there with my wife, and I got my chart of all the games here. Okay. And I'm just telling her, and she's reading a book. She's not even.
As she does every Sunday.
Right, exactly. And I'm saying, this is amazing. This is why this game is so
Right.
great.
The best
and
opening day in NFL
I
history.
rattle off 5 straight games. This team was behind by 14 midway of the third quarter. They're about to tie it up. And this
Yeah,
team is
that was
and then
crazy.
she got
Crazy.
engaged. She put her book down and she got engaged, and we're watching all these missed field goals
Because
left
there's
and
drama.
right.
There's
And she goes,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, no one can make a field goal." Go ahead, Mickey.
No, I was going to say. And so after Bill's point about holding them to a field goal after the interception, 1st and 10 at the 24, false start. Now it's 1st and 15.
Didn't we have like 2 false starts in a row or something like that?
Well, that was on a different
At some
possession.
point, yeah. I think
At some point,
that
yeah.
was Terrence Steele,
Yeah.
who did not have a very good game. Everybody's worried about Tyler Smith. I thought he hung in there pretty well, but Steele on the other side was having problems.
Yeah.
And predictably so, because Akeem Hicks was across
Yeah,
from
dude.
him.
That's the guy.
And
that's the one you talked
the
about.
guy, McCarthy was somewhat worried about because he'd seen him enough over his years at Minnesota when he was in Green Bay.
But when you look at it overall, you expect to have some type of resistance, of course, and maybe even some domination on that side. But with that, we were still able to have what I was expecting for us to run the ball on these guys. But in order to run the ball, we talked about the 3 facets of the game. That's what I talked about last week. They were okay. But the penalties themselves, that 4th facet, I guess you might call it, the penalties themselves still always going to be that
Especially the
snake bite for us.
pre-snap ones, right? Golly. 10 penalties for 73 yards. And some of those pre-snap ones, it's like, okay, I get it. I was watching I've watched so many games. I hope I don't get it confused. I don't know if it was this game or maybe it was the Cincinnati game. The right guard, before the snap, every time he'd hitch his butt. And it's like, well, how do you get away with that?
That's like Tom Landry hitch.
Yeah,
Remember
you're
Tom
supposed to
Landry?
do that before you when you go
they
down,
did it, they
right?
did it in unison, yes.
Yeah. And the poor offense, and now you lose Dak.
How long?
Well, 6 to 8 weeks.
Probably 6 to 8 weeks.
2 months.
So you'd be looking at.
And everybody's right away, well, what are they going to do? It's like, well, Cooper Rush has got to play. That's the decision you made, right? He was your backup quarterback. Where are you going to get a backup quarterback now that can come in and help?
Well, I was looking at all the practice squads
I
in the league this morning.
was going to come up with some reasons for
And
us.
tell me which one's
some
going to come
options
in
that might be useful.
with 3 practices and help you on Sunday.
Well, and no, my point on looking at the practice squads is go find a quarterback that you like, and you get him in here, and you try to make the most of this situation that you're in. And I'm not talking that he can come in here and play even in 2 weeks because he hasn't been in, knowing the offense and whatever. But you go find somebody who might eventually be your backup quarterback. That's maybe on a practice squad somewhere. You give them an opportunity then.
Well, hopefully you have that guy on your practice
That's what I
squad.
was thinking. We just
Yeah.
we
I mean, you made that decision too, right?
Right. Well, you just cut both of your backup quarterbacks, and no team in the league wanted them.
So I think we have time for this.
Okay.
So Dak's out, say, 6 to 8 weeks. He's going on injured reserve.
Mm-hmm.
You used your 2 practice squad elevations to make it 48-man roster this week on your backup quarterback and your kicker. So next week, the backup quarterback has to be signed to the 53, right? So one of those elevations has to be your kicker still, and another elevation has to be your backup quarterback, which is Will Greer.
That's right.
That's right.
So
That's
there's
exactly
no more moving things around.
Yes.
And let's add this to the equation. You lost Conor McGovern, your starting left guard, 7 plays into the game. I saw him leave in a walking boot. He's got an ankle sprain.
And
I hear
Stephen Jones on the radio said high ankle sprain.
At least a couple of weeks.
That is not good.
Yeah.
So that's usually 2 to 4. Okay, you can't elevate 2 guys unless you have 8 offensive linemen active. They've only got 7 right now. So Jason Peters' little ramp-up time, he needs to really
ramp up.
Yeah. So he's going to have to be signed to the 53.
Okay.
Right? And now, is he going to play? Is he ready to go in and play guard? Do you want to start messing around with him going to tackle and Tyler Smith going back to guard? I don't know that you want to do that.
I wouldn't want to put him at tackle.
I think
that's a lot of movement for a 40-year-old man.
I think the easier thing is to play
Put
guard,
him at
right?
guard where he can handle things.
Yeah. But now you got to sign him to the 53. You know, and everybody talking about going into this game. And I got the guy that asked the question on Saturday with us. Well, they got all this money against the for the salary cap, and it's
I know he's listening too.
Yeah,
That's
and
my
it's like,
dude. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, they had 12. Now you're going to have to sign Peters, which is going to be probably $2 million, somewhere in there, right? So now you got 10, and now you got to sign Cooper Rush to the roster. That's going to be like $700,000 more than what he was making on the practice squad. So all of a sudden, that $12 million starts dwindling, and it's only the first week of the season. So losing the game, losing Dak, and now there's even more repercussions.
And you haven't mentioned Jayron Kearse.
And your leading tackler for last year, and
He's having an MRI today.
And he was standing behind me when I was taping my TV spot, and he was on crutches. And he wasn't going anywhere. He was waiting for a ride. So that didn't bode well for
I was
his
shocked that he played. I didn't even know he was going to play.
Because of the neck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was minor compared to
what he's dealing with
the
now.
knee is. Yeah.
So it would appear, not to jump to conclusions, but it would appear the quarterback's going on IR. It appears that the leading tackler from last season, Kearse, is going on IR, which opens up 2 spots on the 53.
Right.
And then they got to make a decision on McGovern whether or not to, with a high ankle sprain, if you're elevating an offensive guard or tackle in Peters or whoever, then, yeah.
So as I pointed out, it was bad getting kicked to the curb. It's even worse when you look up from the curb.
And you're facing the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday at AT&T
Which doesn't
Stadium.
scare me one bit.
And one of the worst things that happened to the Cowboys yesterday was the Bengals losing to Pittsburgh yesterday.
Now they're upset. They're going to come in here looking for blood.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
But guess what? Their quarterback got sacked 7 times, and he had 4 interceptions. And he got hit another, I think it was 8 times, 8 or 10.
But that's
and he led his team to a comeback.
But that's status quo for him because he still led the team to a comeback.
And they would have won the game if their deep snapper hadn't got hurt.
Right, you saw that. So that's status quo for them. They're good.
You know what?
Yeah, they have us right where they want us.
The first missed kick wasn't his fault. The second one was.
The snap?
The snap was okay.
Oh, it was horrible.
The first one?
It was too slow.
Oh.
I was sitting there watching it.
It's too slow because
he lobbed it back.
No one blocked the guy coming off the edge.
He lobbed it back.
But it doesn't matter.
I was sitting there, and the announcers did a great job identifying what the dilemma is right here.
And
so I'm watching that deep snapper, and you could tell this is a Cincinnati, he was a backup tight end, never deep snapped in his life.
Yeah.
You could tell he just floated that thing back just to make sure it was accurate.
And here comes Mika. He kept his eye on it.
And here comes Mika Fitzpatrick racing through, and he was waiting on the
because no one blocked him.
No one blocked him.
It was worse than what happened to LSU.
Yeah.
The guy comes in, and he wasn't on the edge. He was on inside the edge.
So the next time they had an opportunity to win the game on a field goal, by golly, he wasn't going to float that thing back this time. He fired that thing back, and the holder goes up like this to catch it.
He almost had to come up off his knees to catch it.
Oh.
That's good stuff, man.
And so we've got a good friend whose son is a deep snapper about to get a college scholarship.
Well, just keeps deep snapping.
And
Yeah.
I was telling my
They've got a
wife,
job
as we're
waiting
watching
on
these
you.
games, I'm saying, call your friend. He's going to get – this is just enhancing
Put
his
your eye
opportunity.
on Cincinnati. That might be your opportunity.
That's right.
For deep
Who do you
snapper.
think the backup deep snapper is here, by the way?
I think
McGovern?
I haven't seen that.
Oh.
He has trouble shotgunning.
In fact, Brad asked Coach on the pregame, I think, but I didn't actually hear the interview. I heard the fallout from the.
Well, the only one that I had seen during training camp
there were
or any
several-
of those practices, I saw somebody messing around
Yeah.
with it. Sean McEwen,
Yeah.
but he ain't on the 53.
He's on the practice squad. You got to elevate him now.
To be a holder. I'm sorry, to be a snapper.
And I don't know that I saw.
I want to say some of the
Anyone
maybe it
else?
was like Lindstrom, one of the backup offensive
Another
linemen.
practice squad
Yeah,
guy.
were just messing around.
I mean,
with it.
on the active.
Yeah.
Better get one.
The only thing that makes you feel better about today is watching others who are in the same position.
And struggling. What do you think they're talking about in San Francisco today?
Or Green Bay.
Or Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Green Bay is just like us. Quarterback coming in, line is shoddy, wide receivers questionable.
Well, and that's our guy, my guy, Christian Watson, drops the first pass of the game
Right.
with
You
a
said
touchdown.
that.
And you know
That's
what?
right.
And somebody told me at I think it was halftime. No, it was before the game. Somebody said, and that's the Christian Watson we saw before the draft. He would make all these great catches, and then there would be this drop. Every other catch, there was a drop.
And that's why we didn't
And
sign
he had a
him.
drop.
Yeah. And
I mean, that was a drop.
But the point on that too is when you look at the Cowboys playing, Dennis Houston, Jalen Tolbert's not even active for the game. Dennis Houston made a couple of catches, was in on the first series of the game, whatever. It is very difficult to rely on these rookie wide receivers playing their first NFL games to be able to come through for you. I go back to Patrick Creighton when he was a rookie, and he actually played as a rookie, but it wasn't until like his 8th game of the season before he finally got playing time. And he had the ability, maturity about him.
Yes, he
he
did.
came into the league at 24 years old or whatever, to where he could handle it from a mental standpoint and so forth. But anyway, all right, we got to take a break, and we got so much more to get to here on this Monday edition of Mick Shots.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it, they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing.
False start.
Proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call 214-225-4860, kpostcompany.com, and it's about how you recover.
Here's Mickey.
Right.
Here's Mickey getting unturned steel, not having a good game yesterday.
I like that.
And Mickey, the next segment, false starts.
I got K and post-proofing confused.
Yeah.
But I got it.
You did. Okay.
And you know what also didn't happen?
It wasn't really a scoring drive for you there, Mickey, but
I recovered. Down in distance.
Finally able to punt the ball away.
Okay, how's this for making up? All summer long, we talked about the NFC East, and who was the only NFC East team to lose?
That would be us.
As of the Giants' comeback win over the Titans, at that point in time, before the Cowboys kicked off against Tampa Bay, you could make the case that the NFC East was the best division in football.
That's right.
Everybody was unbeaten at that point.
They were almost going to be the first
field.
division since I don't know when to have all four teams win in the season.
I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
It was coming up. I heard somebody mention it.
Well, it certainly tied the record, the all-time record at least.
It didn't happen.
Nope,
so.
It didn't. Nope. And how about the Giants? They go for two with a minute left in the game.
See, I asked somebody that, and they go, no, they scored I said, no, they were
scored
behind
a touchdown
by 7.
Yeah, and they scored, and they went for 2.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
And then they survived a missed field goal.
Did they?
By Randy Bullock, yep.
Everyone they were on Lovie Smith about the decision
not to go for
it on 4th and 3, I believe.
Around midfield.
Around midfield.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was such an easy call.
How much time?
It was
less than a minute, I believe.
I mean, look at my chart of all the games from yesterday. I might have written it down.
103 left, maybe.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
And, boy, they went off on him. And I was thinking to myself, because I was driving to the game, I'm like, I don't know what I would do in that situation as well.
Because you have and I don't remember exactly what it was. It was 4th and manageable, whatever.
Yeah,
but if you don't make it, you're giving them the ball with about 15, 20 seconds left at midfield, where all they have to do is complete one passing and kick a field goal. And you've got in your hip pocket half a win or half a loss. Okay.
I know, and that's half a loss or half a win.
And if you're Houston, it's half a win.
Well,
okay. So you had that in your hip pocket. Yeah, I think I remember it was last year. Was it Indianapolis? It was a similar situation, and they went for it and lost the game.
Yeah.
I think they were winning the game, or I can't remember exactly what happened.
The way the Colts went last year, that's probably what happened.
But anyway, so now here Indianapolis is involved in another game, and the Texans decided at that point. But here's the other problem, and this is where you have to look at the grand scope of the game. And so Houston had not done anything on offense other than the 2 touchdown passes to our guy, O.J. Howard, we were talking about. But since midway of the third quarter, in fact, I think I tweeted out that it was a great day for Lovie Smith and Pep Hamilton, his offensive coordinator, yesterday. They were ahead 20-3 through 3 quarters of that game, had it in hand.
Dominating.
And that was one of those games where all of a sudden, and Indianapolis couldn't do anything.
No, they could run the ball. All they could do was run the ball. That was it.
Matt Ryan could not catch a snap from center, whether he was under center or in the shotgun. He would drop it.
Every time you looked up, he's getting sacked or trying to throw the ball.
But they got it together in the fourth quarter, and much like that gave me hope that maybe the Cowboys the Cowboys were down 19-3 again at the end of the third quarter. Well, all they got to do is do and that's what Indianapolis had done. But anyway, the difference was Houston could not do anything on offense. So I did not have a problem with Lovie deciding to take his half a win and go to the house.
So tell me this, I forgot to do it in time. They were going to start a knockout league, right? You got to pick one winner.
Yeah.
I looked at everything and I said, "Oh, Indianapolis."
So you get.
So if I had done it, do I lose?
You have a loss. Yeah, you're knocked out.
I'm out.
You're out
because they didn't win.
Yeah.
So you have to win.
The tie doesn't.
Period.
Tie doesn't count.
Yeah.
So now I don't feel bad about missing the deadline because
Okay.
I would have been out first week.
I have to do one of those for CBS, and I can't remember who I picked, but I'm sure I'm out because I think I might have picked Carolina over Cleveland because I thought,
And,
Baker's going to
you look
win
at that game.
Or I picked Tennessee over the
It
Giants,
was
and they lost.
horrible.
That.
Baker was looking like trash, and then all of a sudden.
So speaking of not going for it, I heard
Jasmine's got Denver tonight. Denver's playing Seattle tonight.
All right. They're gonna beat them, is what she's saying. In Seattle.
In Seattle, it's a homecoming game for Russell Wilson.
I'll try not to cheer for the 12th man in Seattle, Jim. Just for you. So McCarthy was catching grief this morning on 4th and 8 at the 50 in the fourth quarter, and he punted.
Oh.
And I'm thinking
that was 11 minutes left.
There was 11:20 left in the game. As much trouble as they were having on third down conversions, I don't know what.
And that was right after the Donovan Wilson interception.
Right. What hope you had of because they only gained 2 yards on that possession. So it's 4th and 8 at the 50. They punted, and they eventually stopped them at the 40-yard line and forced them to punt. But unfortunately, 4:12 went off the clock. But I'm thinking, okay, you gamble there and lose, you just handed them another field goal.
Right.
Because as it was, they went from the 13 to the 45 before the Cowboys ran into the kicker. So,
well, you're looking at it too. Even though it seemed like it was 91-3, not 19-3.
Right.
But it was a 2-score game.
Yes, I know.
And so, from a coaching standpoint, you got 11:20 left. Okay, if we can go ahead and keeping in mind we haven't moved the ball at all since the first drive of the game. Okay, take your losses here, punt them down inside. Maybe you punt them down inside the 10-yard line.
Give your defense a better chance to hold them. Yeah.
But, because basically.
You've already leaned on your defense a lot today.
And what people don't understand is coaches coach from worst-case scenario view. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen here? We don't get it, and I'm basically giving them a field goal.
Okay, so what happened? They punted them down, okay. It was a 37-yard punt. Tampa Bay takes over with 11:12 left in the game at their own 13-yard line. And what happens on the very first play? Leonard Fournette, 14-yard run.
Yeah.
And that was the problem in the third quarter of that game. I mean, even the Cowboys are down 12-3 at halftime. And as much as we talk about the offense not being able to move the football at all, the defense, the first possession of the third quarter, Tampa Bay got 1 first down and then punted. Okay, then Dallas takes over and wound up getting a sack on a 3rd and 6 play, has to punt back. What happens with 8:07 left in the third quarter? Tampa Bay takes over. Fournette goes for 11 yards, and it's a 12-3 game.
Yep.
Fournette for 11 yards. Fournette for 9 yards. Fournette for 17 yards. Incompletion, then a completion for 7, a completion for 10. They go down the field on them, and it was a 79-yard, 9-play drive that started with 3 runs for 37 yards.
Yep. Professor, may I have the floor?
Yes.
All 3 of those runs went left to the Cowboys' right. And I don't pick on people, but Dorrance Armstrong could not hold down the edge almost that entire game. And that's why they were going to that side. They were caving in, and they were getting outside.
And who was playing left tackle? Who was
row.
playing left tackle for Tampa Bay at that point in the game?
Because it was the backup guy.
left
the
tackle,
guy, the
Josh
guy that
Wells.
Parsons was abusing.
Yeah, backup left tackle Josh Wells.
Yeah, and they were running student body left.
Mm-hmm. And they had
the
a
Cowboys
rookie at
were
left guard,
undermanned.
a rookie at left guard, and a center
that hadn't
hadn't
played.
started a game.
You had Julio Jones running jet sweeps. Did I see that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Julio Jones.
You remember us talking about him last year?
Yes.
Whichever game it was, it looked like he was lost.
Yeah.
Like, is he playing or
It
what?
was the Tennessee Titans game, if I'm not mistaken.
And they got him running jet sweeps.
The coach hated him. He and the coach didn't get along the minute he came to Tennessee. And
He's
now
back
here
playing.
he is. He found a home just that quickly after Gage goes down, Godwin's down, and they do inside handoff, jet sweep
Well, he's healthy, too.
Well, he's 30-plus years old.
3 catches for 69 yards, including the 48-yarder that was an amazing. I mean, Anthony Brown couldn't have covered him any better.
And
right?
he had to hold his arm. He couldn't PI any better.
So
he's one of the greatest receivers in the game, in the history of the game. Yeah.
There was one thing about the defense we talked about. We kept talking about getting pressure on the quarterback, but you better stop the run.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't stop the run.
Did not stop.
They ran for 151 yards. Mm-hmm. Fournette had 127, I think it was.
Obviously, they saw something what we were doing on our defensive right side. Yeah, because they came out with that jet sweep immediately. I mean, right away. It was part of their at least the first quarter. That was part of their offensive arsenal.
And by the way, only 2 guys not named Parsons ever checked out Tom Brady's breath.
The entire game.
Wilson had a blitz and hit him just as he was throwing the ball. And Tristan Hill had a quarterback hit. Parsons had 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. So he got there 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a good point, then. We should go over our picks to click.
Oh.
Jeez.
I don't know if you get anything to click when you get beat that bad.
No, I care. Who was your pick to click?
Dalton Schultz.
Okay.
Leading receiver.
Yeah.
Who was your pick to
click? You knew that was happening.
Kavante Turpin.
Who is my pick to click?
Every week. Come on,
Every
man.
week,
Every week. Gee, come on.
Hey, Schultz, 7 catches, 62 yards.
Yeah,
and Micah Parsons is still on track to being the Defensive Player of the Year, too. My pick to be Defensive Player of the Year.
I liked it. He was geeked up. He was like, yeah, that's my second one. He was ready. He was geeked. I mean, we thought that we could build off that momentum. But, boy,
you know
not
what?
at all.
You know what I saw after the game, and I thought this was kind of funny, cute? Donovan Wilson went up and patted Tom Brady on the back and said something to him. And I'm going, do you think he apologized for hitting him so hard? Because he really nailed it. You know what? He had a good game. He had an interception.
Yes.
Quarterback pressure.
And he that's just same thing that White was doing for Tampa Bay. They're looking in that zone for that curl route by that slot receiver. And Brady's just like Dak. Sometimes you can eyeball that guy waiting on it, but they've already anticipated that's where you're going from the lineup, okay? They already know where they're going before the ball is snapped. We almost had 2 of them. Well, we almost gave up 2 of them, but we also got one from Wilson.
All right, we got to take a break.
Between him and David, that pretty good linebacker.
Yes, they were.
All right, we got to take a break. Okay. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to figure out where this team is going from here next on Mix Shots.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh. She's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
Back to Mick Shots.
Are you a Cowboy fan who spices up the game? Nominate yourself or a friend to be the Cowboys Fan of the Year presented by Captain Morgan and win a trip to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. Nominate yourself or a friend at DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year.
You know what? It's a whole lot easier to be the fan of the year when your team is winning all the games and going to a Super Bowl. Okay, it takes a real fan.
But you got a better percentage.
Fan of the year if the team's not doing that.
You got a better percentage of winning if they're losing because you're still a fan and everybody else has jumped off the bus.
That's exactly right. Okay, so where do we go from here?
I had a point to make when you were doing something there, and I said, okay, I'll save it till when we come back.
A different point than that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to. You got 5 minutes to figure out what that point
escaped
was
me.
here.
I think you said
actually 3 minutes.
Where do they go from here? Well, they got to fix the roster first, and then they got to take a deep look at what they do against Cincinnati. That actually they played. I'm sure they were happy that they held Pittsburgh to 20 points. Until overtime.
And they're dealing with their own injury issue. Long-time Bengals long snapper Clark Harris expected to miss extended time with the torn biceps. Cincinnati is signing rookie Cal Adamitis from the practice squad to take Harris' place.
The deep snapper.
Oh, okay. They might block something.
They have.
I'm going to say they could probably sign LP and save him a trip. Just stay there and just show up on game day.
Show up on game day, right? Just make the trip. I know what I was going to go. So I wanted to see Turpin touch the ball on offense.
Two plays on offense.
I know.
2 snaps.
And one was a fake jet sweep, and they went the other way. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, they tried 2 trick plays and lost 9 yards total. They weren't very tricky.
Here's the thing, and I knew it was going to happen in the stands. We were running the ball well. I think we ran the ball twice with Zeke. Here we are. We got out of a hole. I think we're still, on our end of the field, but we had just gotten out of a little bit of a hole. We're past the 20-yard line. Okay, momentum. 2 great running plays. We have to come with trick plays now.
I thought that was a little premature.
I mean, come on, man. Stop being so cute. I think that's our problem. We are too cute. Let's show what kind of grit we have by busting somebody's nose up front. Let's just keep toting that rock. You give it to the man that wants it. You can bring Pollard in if Zeke gets a little bit fatigued, but let's keep toting the ball. You could see that our wide receivers were not, even then, you could see it was going to be tough for us to get off the line of scrimmage with these wide receivers.
Which was amazing that they ended up scoring or kicking their field goal, their only points of the game, that possession, because you're right. They had Zeke go for 7. No, it was past to Schultz for 7, Zeke for 7. Then they tried the thing with Pollard, the fancy play. It was the reverse play, and then Pollard kept it because it got jammed up because somebody pushed right in there, -8. And then when it was 1st and 10 at the Tampa Bay 31, and this kind of spoiled that drive, they tried the direct snap to Pollard. And it's like, why? And it lost a yard, and that was the only yard they picked up.
You would have liked that play if it worked.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You like all of them if they work.
but did you have to?
Want to run those
did you
right
have
now.
to do it right? That was the thing, and that was right after one of their very few 3rd down conversions. Yeah. 3rd and 8. I think they only had 4 for 14, something like that.
And that's where you can tell the inexperience at wide receiver is when you don't get your 3rd down successful plays.
Oh, I cheated him on 5 for 14.
That's when you know. That's when you know your wide receivers are very young and inexperienced. When you can't get those third downs, 3rd and 8, very manageable third downs, by the way, and we could not get them. That's when you know that you've got some young guys out there.
Where's my note? They had 8 3rd and 7s or more out of the 14, and they only picked up 3 of them.
And 3rd and 7 is not bad.
And I was being very nice about
yeah.
3rd and 7 or more.
Yeah, it's manageable.
Okay.
But those are the money downs. And they came up broke.
Oh, that's
You
a
like
good
that?
ender.
That was good.
All right, we got a press conference at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Mike McCarthy.
I think
should be interesting.
There's something at 2:30. What's at 2:30?
We'll figure that out.
Wait.
And
I don't have
check
to ask
Mickey's
you that.
Twitter.
2:30 player press call.
Oh yeah, that's right.
3
But
o'clock.
we're not. But the general public is not privy
Yes.
to that.
But
Okay.
they'll get the results of
You
it.
will get it, but you can listen live, watch live Mike McCarthy's press conference at 3 o'clock, where hopefully he
get
will
a
have
real update on
the injury situation
Dak
with this
Prescott.
team, and we will be back here at noon tomorrow. With
And I
more,
predict the sun will come up again.
Okay, with more mix shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!